Welcome to Metacafe Unfiltered. I'm Tim Liu. Today we're on site at BioWare and we're going to be talking about Dragon Age Origins, which is dropping on PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3 on November 3rd. So sit back and relax and check out Metacafe Unfiltered. We've got the doctors from BioWare today, Ray and Greg. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today.
Thanks. Our pleasure.
Now, BioWare, as many of our viewers know, has created many terrific games. Baldur's Gate, Knights of the Old Republic, more recently Mass Effect. But today we're going to talk a little bit about Dragon Age Origins. Mm-hmm. So, Dragon Age Origins has been labeled as a dark, heroic fantasy. Now, this seems like to be a very deliberate categorization that you put on the game. Can you go a little bit into this label that you put on Dragon Age?
Yeah, sure. I mean, basically, dark heroic fantasy for us is sort of it's like the best of both worlds. Like you got the heroic fantasy of Tolkien and the other high fantasy. You have dark fantasy of Michael Moorcock or George R.R. Martin, say. But Dragon Age is somewhere right in the middle. It's got the best of both worlds. It's got an edge. It's got a bite to it. You're playing the role of a Grey Warden, which is it's a group of legendary warriors charged with saving the world from the Blight, this wave of darkspawn that threatened to engulf all humanity and all the different races of Ferelden, the world of Dragon Age. So you're charged with saving the world. It's a dark quest, and you have to do some challenging grey decisions and grey choices in order to achieve that goal.
Now, Dragon Age is the spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate. Can you talk a little bit about some of the inspirations you're drawing from that game itself, and maybe some of the ways that it actually deviates from Baldur's Gate, and what makes it different from all the other games that BioWare has been creating?
There's a lot of things about those games that still resonate with players. I mean, they were the first kind of really strong stories that pulled you in due to the depth of the characters, the interaction with them. The game themselves were huge, and they were many hours long. There's really cool tactical combat. All these things that we actually drew upon as key references and key inspirations for Dragon Age Origins. And I think we actually translated them really well. Well, it's a big game. I mean, Dragon Age Origins, we say that probably minimum time to play is probably 40-ish hours for the critical path, but it scales all the way up to well over 100. Ray played, I think, about 120 on the PC. I was about 55 on the Xbox, and then we played various chunks of it numerous times. And it's every time we play it, it's amazing, and we think fans are totally going to love it. The final piece being that it's like the old Baldur's Gate series feels very similar, but with brand new technology, amazing digital actors, really cool characters and settings that just take you away from everything. It's an amazing experience.
Now, Dragon Age was announced about 5 years ago at E3 2004. Around that time, it's been about 5 years. Baldur's Gate's fans were salivating when you first announced it. Can you kind of go into the overall development process of the game?
Well, it takes a while to build a world from scratch, especially a world that's as deep and rich and engaging and emotionally compelling as Dragon Age. So our teams always start out with an IP ideation vision phase where we start building the sort of the backstory and the premises around and the rule systems around which the game is based.
There's the whole scenario where people actually build out the backstory. And most of the backstory, probably 90% of it, never shows up as actual game content. It'll show up in little stories and snippets all over the place. The game itself, what we really typically do at BioWare, start with the story arc. The entire story arc of the game, what kind of locations might take place there, and then we build those out, both in terms of writing, but also physically in terms of models. And I think there's usually a phase about 3/4 of the way through the development cycle where we kind of assess all the content, decide if we have enough, decide where we're going to flesh things out. And finally, when we're doing all this, we actually do a lot of play testing. I think the final piece for us is and for a lot of the folks here at BioWare, they play the game like crazy and kind of figure out the pacing and how it all feels. And then that's where we're going to start making our final decisions.
Even then, we're not done even after we launch the game, because we continue to support the game with post-release content. There's a whole user content creation tool set with Dragon Age, so fans can take that and actually craft their own content, share that with their friends. And we have a huge online presence as well. I mean, something that's really cool is the social networking site where you can show your heroic journey. We had some fans that made some really cool mods and expanded the universe. You can't really predict what the fans are going to come up with because the creativity and the passion it just always blows us away.
Yeah, there's a lot of other pieces too. For example, I mean, there's the post-release content as well as the user-created content. There's a thing called Dragon Age Journeys, which is actually a 2D Flash game that's up right now. Actually, just went up this week. That allow people to experience adventures in the world of Dragon Age. Character Creator we put out in advance. As Ray mentioned, the social site earlier. You know, the Character Creator lets you effectively sort of explore the different races and characters that you can play as in Dragon Age Origins, and then make them. And so you sort of pre-make your character. I mean, when we made Baldur's Gate years ago, there was the game, and that was about it. Whereas now, there's all these really cool ways to connect people and share stuff and unlock things. And you play one game to benefit another. It's a really exciting place to be.
So finally, I'm going to give both of you guys some airtime to talk to the 45 million users of Metacafe as to why Dragon Age Origins is going to rock.
So we're really proud to talk about Dragon Age Origins to the fans at Metacafe, about Dragon Age Origins coming November 3rd on PC and Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 simultaneously in North America. Dragon Age is an amazingly deep, rich fantasy experience. It's dark, heroic fantasy. You get to take on the role of a really cool, kick-ass character called the Grey Warden, make these dark choices, and save the world from the Blight. And it's an amazing gameplay experience, too.
And it doesn't just stop at the game itself. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in the Dragon Age universe. There's been 2 novels. There's a game called Dragon Age Journeys. It's actually www.dragonagejourneys.com available right now. And Dragon Age itself is a platform. We're going to provide a user tool set to create your own content for the game right at launch. It's also a huge post-release content plan where right at the beginning, right at launch again, we'll have some content to download and try out. So, it's a great game. It's a platform. It's universe. And we think it's some of BioWare's best work.
Yeah, enjoy.
Ray and Greg, thank you again for joining us on Metacafe Unfiltered.
Thanks.
Thanks.